Leamington Spa, Upper Parade.
Okay, viewers, this is Dr. James Vondutch speaking, and I've just arrived at Leamington on the Upper Parade, and that's from the X18 bus from Coventry. And the date is Tuesday, 12th of May, 2026. I've got my Mac on. Can you see that? My rain trench coat. It was about to rain. It was actually raining about half an hour to an hour ago. Dribbling just a bit, so it has stopped now, and the weather does seem to have improved quite dramatically, and it does feel much better right now at this time of the day, but not so short while ago. An hour ago it was almost about to rain. It was raining actually. Like I said, it was dribbling. So I'm on the Upper Parade right now, and that was the bus that stopped there next to Poundland. It's been quite a while since I visited this town. Obviously I don't have my car anymore, so I'm not much of a frequent visitor over here these days. And I've had 3 jobs here, by the way. I've mentioned that in my previous videos. Someone did like my video that I made last time. And my first job was at the post office, a bit further down from here. And that's when I was about 18 years of age, 1988, that was a long time ago, after doing my A-levels. And my second job, that was back in 1995. That's when I got my job as a trainee manager. I was interviewed here, and I was posted to different parts of the Midlands. It wasn't really a good job. It was just virtually slave labour. They're just sales makers there. It wasn't really well motivated in terms of pay. Appalling pay. It was below minimum wage in today's day and age. And you're just about paying to paid enough just to pay for your expenses. That's it. There's not much left over. It was appalling, for motivation wise anyway. And then my last job was in the late end of 1997, November 1997. I was an advertising company, JPC, advertising man, selling advertising space. So I've had 3 jobs here. But I've had car every time I've had a job. So I've got to this place with car, not by bus. I don't normally come here by bus, in the old days anyway. I've never been like that. Obviously, that's a sign of times, obviously, the rising cost of living and everything. And obviously, I used to have a council house when I was in the past coming to this job, a 3-bedroom house. And I had a car, and I didn't, live in a supported housing room for myself in a shared house with the homeless. I wasn't that bad. And relying on public transport, I was never that low. So that's the sign of the times. Obviously, it is depressing. And it's distressing, of course, as well. Just thinking about how you've declined in terms of poverty, But those jobs weren't brilliant. They were obviously, and I should be making huge amounts of money being social media content creator, and money's just not at the moment. I do put up my bank details. Remember, in the UK, it's sort code 110212 and account number 14112566, and that's all you need in the UK. Outside the UK, you might need to use my IBAN number, international bank account number, and my BIC and SWIFT number, which is listed on the videos. So that was the upper parade I was on. I think I'm on the parade just now as I'm going downwards. So this town is actually in Warwickshire. It's not in the West Midlands. It's counted as in Warwickshire. And it's quite famous with cream-coloured buildings, white cream kind of coloured buildings. Classic look, of course. Classic looking town. Obviously, I'm a classic looking person, so maybe the two meet that way. You see, maybe that's why I've been, recruited so often here. So it may be, obviously, even my viewers there from London, and a lot of millionaires and billionaires there. In fact, the most in Western Europe in terms of the city. So maybe, that's my niche, innit? I belong to them sort of people, you see, so they need to be helping me out. Common folk won't help me out. Remember when they had the David Cameron government and things got worse, after Plebgate? Remember Plebs? Andrew Mitchell on his bike and he was saying, "Get out of the way," to those policemen. You remember that? Plebgate. And then the Defence Secretary, Liam Fox, he resigned, obviously, and then it got worse from there. This is, by the way, the town hall, by the way, right behind me. Can you see that? That's the Leamington Town Hall. And across the road, let me just point it out, that's the Salvation Army. Can you see that? That's Salvation Army shop. If you want some used items, that are sold for charity, a lot of things are used these days, isn't it? You can't really avoid it, can you? So hardly anything is brand new.
What the hell have you guys done?
So just remember, and the London riots, remember that? 2011, obviously you've got change of governments. Remember that comedy films, Spies Like Us? Chevy Chase and that Ackroyd guy. Remember when they're impersonating doctors and they're about to remove an appendix, and then he says, "Isn't that a bit high for an appendix?" He's cutting into his chest, he's saying, and then he says, remember when he says, "I was probing for muscle tone and skeletal girth, a new technique. We mock what we don't understand." That's one of my favourite bits. I remember in that Fletch Lives as well, when Chevy Chase is near that airplane, and he's got all that. He says he's a bit late because he's got that menial that manure spitter got over him, and that's why he was delayed or something. And that gook all over him, gook. And then he says, "What's your name?" He says, "It's Gordon." And then he says, "Gord, take a look at the seventh. Was it the flexor valve?" Yeah. And it's the bypass line, isn't it? He says. Bypass line, yeah, he says that, yeah. And then he says, yeah, it's the bypass line. And then he says, I'm going to need some ball bearings and, pliers and etc. And then he says, what do you need ball bearings for? It's all ball bearings these days. Can't off it. You need a refresher course? That's one of my favourite parts as well. And also that scene when he's in the bar and then Harley Davidson scene. Remember that? Chevy Chase, that's classic, that is. I think they're all Hell's Angels there, motorbike guys there. Ensure you're in the right place, and then they say, I think so. That Harley Davidson scene, Chevy Chase. Anyway, you notice that car in the back, there's police cars there. They're quite speeding quite fast, haven't they? They've got a license to speed, haven't they? Just like the ambulances, obviously, for saving lives. But, are they really generally, really considerate? Is it really essential for them to be speeding? I'm just wondering, they have got a license to speed, innit? I got done, incidentally, on Wright and Dunstmore, 13th of October, I think it was 2022, 13th of October 2022. It might have been 13th of October 2023. No, it was definitely 2022 when I was at my previous council house, family house. And that was 13th of October 2022. And I was coming back home from the Guston Road petrol station, the Shell petrol station. After waiting there for 12 hours, I'd come from journey from Europe, from Amsterdam, and I managed to get on board the ship, the P&O ship, and all the way from there to Dover, from Calais to Dover. It just about got up the ramp, and then obviously the clutch went, and then I was stranded at. I managed to drive it in first gear, using that technique that the stewards on board the P&O use, which isn't really advised or recommended. It does actually destroy the gearbox, which is more costly in the long run, so it's not advisable. But when your clutch goes, you've got no other option, and especially if there's no tow truck around or something. So I managed to drive it to the Guston Road petrol station that day on the 13th of October. It's actually maybe the 12th of October, but actually I got the vehicle, the courtesy car, on the 13th of October. It took 12 hours for them to get a car all the way from Canterbury that is, because their offices were shut at a certain time, 5:30 or something on that day. So I had to wait 12 hours, and eventually I got my car, and they escorted my vehicle on the truck back home. In fact, they arrived home before me. That's how fast they were travelling, and I was shocked, beyond belief, to find that I got done for a speeding fine that day. And I was driving that slow. I was about 10-15 minutes behind that truck, and on that camera, I think it was on Wright and Dunstmore, near the War Memorial kind of statue kind of thing there. For the short stretch of road, it goes from 60 to 50, and I was doing 57 miles per hour, and on my sat nav it was saying it's 60 as well, the maximum speed. So I was under the assumption I was doing 3 miles an hour less than the maximum speed permitted on that part of the road. But the camera there was actually capturing me at 50 in a 50 mile per hour zone, which wasn't really clearly labelled. You couldn't really see those signs clearly enough, the local signs that is. So I was relying on the sat nav, obviously, and that wasn't really updated. It didn't update this time to its speed, that is, to that particular stretch of the road where it turned to a 50 mile per hour zone, and therefore I was doing 7 miles per hour above the speed limit. Just 7, that's all it was, and I got done for that, and I got 3 points on my license, and also I had to pay £100 fine. So that was then anyway, and I think that's when that week Liz Truss resigned as well. And it's a Ford car, actually. It's a Ford car that I was driving back, which was given to me via my ROC breakdown cover, onward travel. Whereas my car was towed back, the one with the clutch failure, which made it all the way in Europe, and right at the last minute on board when I was going up the ramp on the ship, on the P&O ship, that's when the clutch went. But these police guys, they've got a license to speed, haven't they? They could do 60, 70, even 100. And I've seen them do really fast speeds. Even today when I was coming here, and on London Road, I've seen many times police cars going in excess, in my opinion, of 60, 70 miles an hour, maybe even. That's my guess, my estimated guess, but I don't know their precise speed. I wasn't actually measuring their speed, but definitely they seem very fast. And they had the lights on, obviously. When they got the lights on, the blue lights and they're flashing, then obviously they can do that, you see, just like ambulances. Ambulances can even go for red lights, obviously responding to an emergency. Sometimes you wish you had one of them in it. There's blue lights in it, or just stick it on your car or something. And license to speed. Well, I wasn't doing really excessively that high. I was only doing just about 7 above, and under the assumption that I was doing 3 miles per hour less than the maximum. It was 60 miles per hour just a short while back from that spot where the camera was, the Wright and Dunstable camera, which captures people and gives them tickets. Anyway, so that's that anyway. But I miss my car anyway. I still miss my car. My car was scrapped last year. I'm in Jefferson Garden Parks, by the way, right now. And this video is getting long. Almost 18 minutes now. I've got to cut it down to 20 minutes. It's a long time I haven't been here as well. Leamington Gardens Park, the Jefferson Gardens Park. It's a lot different without a car. Obviously, it's not the same feeling when you're coming by public transport. I've got my backpack on. That's about it. I mean, that's not essentially required if you've got a car, of course. Sign of the time, say, rising cost of living affecting everyone, especially guys like me. I'll be ending this video soon anyway. I think I said quite a bit today. Fire ambulances as well. They've got blue lights on. They can respond to emergencies, obviously, as well as ambulances. So that's fire brigade, ambulance, and police with blue lights, which is licensed to speed. But obviously for emergencies, pending emergency situation or something. And the Coast Guard, of course, that's the other emergency service. I think they should get me one of those, James Bond cards, the government. That one, that Lotus one. Is it a Lotus or what was it? Wet Nelly or something. I think that's what it's called. And I could just drive my car from Great Yarmouth into Rotterdam, and then from Rotterdam into Amsterdam. That'd be fantastic. It's only about 100 plus miles from Great Yarmouth to Rotterdam, the North Sea, that is, So I can go underneath the water in it. As long as it's covered for insurance, MOT, road tax, all that kind of thing. Just hand over the keys to me, Failing that, they can always give me an Aston Martin Vanquish. The adaptive camouflage one. and make sure it's got revolving number plates. Those bastards, you know, in London Transport. And the government has to sort that out for me. I need revolving number plates with them ones. With them extortionists. To avoid those, you know.
There were two guys on the bench there.
ULZ charges, etc. Just driving through. Not everyone's got electric cars, by the way, have they? Only the electric cars are exempt. Okay, that's it. I'll end the video now. Dr. James Vonduttch on Tuesday, 12th of May 2026, and local time is around 4:08 p.m. and I'm coming up from this end. I can see New Bowl Terrace. That's where I used to park my car when I was homeless. I stayed there for quite a while, not just next to the Britannia Hotel, but next to on that road as well, New Bowl Terrace. So they probably know me as well. They've probably seen me sleeping in my car when I was parked there. Initially, I was here at the New Bowl Terrace. Then later on, I started going back to Coventry, the Britannia area. That's where I was spotted, of course, by the JCT Centre in May 2024, and directed to their office on Lamb Street. They built that place where I was offered supported housing ever since, starting off with 3 days or 3 nights stay at Salvation Army, the Life Centre on Hornell Lane, and then thereafterwards I got an offer of a bedroom to myself in a shared house, which is still supported housing for the homeless. And this is where I used to park, around here somewhere. Can you see that? Not the disabled base, but a bit further on this road. And there are mansions on this road. And there's a park next door. And I used to use the park, sometimes the toilets there, the public toilets. This is where I stayed for a couple of months at least, maybe less. As well as the Britannia Hotel area on Fairfax Street. Okay, that's enough. Keep up the sport and send me any money you want. I am homeless still. And do remember, I don't own my own property and I don't even have a car these days. So you're helping a genuinely needy guy if you do send money. If you have decided to send money over to me, any amount is welcome. And you can donate as much as you want. If you're feeling very generous, then go ahead, be generous. If you can't spare that much, then obviously spare whatever you can. So there's some flats there as well, apartments. They're quite nice as well. And these are the mansions. And this is where I used to park, in these sort of bays, and sleep the night. I remember those days. 13 plus months. It was quite adventurous actually. It wasn't as bad as just sitting statically, you know, in a house or something. And I had a roof, you know, the car roof to myself. Not exactly a camper van, but obviously improvised. It could have been better, obviously, if it was a kind of like a van or something. An actual camper van, you know, with headroom space, you know, that's where the downside was. So, okay.